All right, I think we can get started.
All right.
Let me just hit the
I'll wait for the little recording light to
recording
show up.
button. I haven't done this in a while. Here we go. All right. Been a while.
Recording in progress.
Good evening, everyone. Today is Tuesday, October 15th. Welcome to the capital planning meeting. Let's get the ball rolling. I'd like to start off with attendance. I'm gonna take a quick roll call. Let's see. Nightingale.
Wendy Nightingale, present.
Christina DiNapoli.
DiNapoli, present.
Steve Merlin.
Merlin, present.
Lucas Murphy. He's here, but I don't see his microphone.
Oh,
Lucas,
here it goes.
oh, here he is.
Sorry, I'm fighting technology right now. I'll do my best, but I'll be back to my house in a few minutes. So
No worries, but you were now here though. That's all I need you to say.
yeah, I'm
and Harris Blumwald, I am also here, so attendance is taken. Thank you. So let's move right along with the agenda. I'd like to turn it over to Captain Alexander, I believe. The floor is yours.
I'm here. Welcome. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming. We
so-
appreciate it.
Absolutely. So I'm here with a couple of, we try to be creative sometimes, do the best we can and maximize what we can do with our capital, and that all of you have been supportive with right along. And we have a couple interesting propositions for you all tonight that I hope to present, and I'm going to share my screen if that's okay. Okay, does everybody see that?
Yep.
So here we go. So we're here tonight to talk about dealing with our ambulances and our, about a year ago, we took delivery of some mini pumpers. If you recall, we approved those through an insurance payout and a little additional funding to buy 2 mini fire engines. And we've also approved a couple of ambulances over the last couple of years at town meeting. And we're back to discuss some creative ways to do a little bit better with what we've had through some fortunate turns and some mechanical stuff. So we'll get into what's going on with all of this. So with the ambulance, you've approved with your support in town meeting, 2 ambulances over 2 town meetings. We have finally ordered the first one back in August, this past August. So it took quite a while to order even the first one. The dealers we typically deal with, it got really, the buying process has been the hardest I've ever seen it in my career. And it got to the point that the main dealer we were looking to buy from was like, well, it's going to be 3 years plus, and I can't guarantee you a date. And that's not a good position to be in. And I refuse to sign any contracts on a position like that, because once you're into a contract, then you are kind of held there. There's clauses to protect the dealer and the manufacturer as well as us. So we were kind of stuck no matter if it took 4 years. And most of the time there's not a penalty in these agreements for being late. So we didn't sign anything, and we kept going back to the drawing board to see, can we do something better? And originally we were just looking at the 2. So what we ended up doing was we found another dealer, and we interestingly found an ambulance that will suit us at a much lower cost, which is a good thing. So what we ended up doing was we bought a stock unit, because our current ambulances, we have one that's a 2021, and that has just shy of 80,000 miles on it now. These ambulances go about 32,000 miles a year. And I'll tell you, for those who drive in Easton, 98% of those miles every year are in Easton, going from there to Good Samaritan Hospital or Brockton Hospital. They don't get on the highway. They don't go anywhere. It's all stop and go, stop signs, speed bumps, and all the shoot and match. There's no highway miles. So these are hard miles on these trucks. and they're showing it. So our newest one is like that, but our older three, we have 4 ambulances, and we run them 2 frontline staffed ambulances, and then a fully stocked third and a mechanical fourth. But what's happened to us is that's a great model, except for the fact that our second spot that the newest ambulance doesn't occupy, it takes the other 3 ambulances just to keep one on the front line. And we're rotating these things on a daily basis. Sometimes they go out of service, they come back in service, they go back out of service, and there's a lot of movement of equipment to make that happen. Our mechanic stays very busy with these. So these trucks are the highest mileage, they have the highest wear and tear, and the fleet's struggling on the 3 older ambulances. And the town has done a great job trying to address this, and we're thankful for that by approving these 2 ambulances. But the purchasing situation is very challenging. So somewhat convoluted story of how we got here is we found a dealer through Stoughton Fire who found the dealer first, so I can't take all the credit. And then they showed up. We went up there and took a look at this ambulance from a different dealer in New York. And it's based on the same Ford chassis, so that part's all the same. And they just build the box. Box is where the patient compartment is. So when we took a look at it, they said, well, geez, we can get you a stock unit this coming February if you buy it now, which was then August, for $335,000. And compared to 480, 490, now almost 500,000 from the other brands. And I honestly think that the dealer is building an efficient ambulance, and it's probably the equivalent of not paying for the Lexus moniker when it's, Toyota behind the scenes. We're getting a good quality, but we're not paying for the brand. In the fire truck world, that's Pierce. In the ambulance world, that's Lifeline and Horton, and you pay a premium for those. And I think that the order rolls for those big fancy companies are so strong that they're just charging so much money now. And so we went back to the drawing board when we got this, and we said, okay, well, we need an ambulance right now. It's not even the exact interior as we normally have, but we're just in that tough of a situation with our ambulances. So we bought that stock unit for the 335, and then went back to the dealer and said, geez, what can you do with ambulances that are set up like the way we have them now, or the way we want to be? And it came back with, a whole quote that you saw in the memo. And we looked at the amount of money that had been appropriated over the 2 ambulances and realized that although Wendy has to do some different movements around how it's actually borrowed, that we could come back to you and say, geez, we would like to buy 2 more and not have the town borrow more than was already approved. I know the borrowing, how it will happen will be different, but over the total amount that was approved, plus some Medicare reimbursement money, which you can see is that last bullet, we can ask the town to buy that 3rd ambulance without borrowing more than was already approved through the last 2 town meetings. So we ended up getting a package deal and a quote that we're here to tonight to look for some support to buy the 2 ambulances. So that'll give us the 3. One would come in August, and the other 2 would come about a year and a half from the time we ordered it, which keeps it relatively in line with the borrowing plan that Wendy had been working on as far as timeline for her debt service. So we don't deviate from that too much. And we pseudo advance the FY27 ambulance request and basically take that off because we're going to capture it here without borrowing more than we probably may have had to do in 27, depending on how much of that Medicare money we have set aside. So it'll push our ambulance purchases out a couple of years more because we'll have these 3. It'll get the 2 Ford chassis. Well, actually, believe it or not, just for transparency, our oldest ambulance is a 2012, and we may end up keeping our 2012 because it's built on a slightly different chassis with a newer engine that was replaced, because it is the most reliable of the 3 backup ambulances. So that may actually end up staying in the fleet, and the 2016 and 17 will probably go once all these ambulances are online, a little more than a year and a half from now if approved. So we're excited about that. It was great to see that there is a way to actually decrease the cost for a change instead of always coming back with an increased cost and escalation costs, and everything costs more. And I've had to use that argument a lot, and it's all the truth. But for once, I think we came across something different. So I think maybe, although I have a question slide at the end before I go to the fire engine discussion, if there's any specific questions about what we're trying to do, the math is a lot in the memo, and then Wendy has the borrowing answers if there's any questions around those.
I just wanted to say that, you know, the great thing about this is that not only is it gonna cost less money, but we're gonna be able to get the ambulances sooner. That's just really critical. I mean, your newest ambulance is a 2021.
80,000 miles.
Yeah, so, you know, we are gonna be getting another one, but it's not gonna be until, what, February, March?
Yeah.
So.
And that'll just take the load off of one. And then the other, there's still gonna be the other two that are continuing.
Now, Chief,
Yeah, so.
are they the same engines type of thing, or? just a-
Yeah, from engines, is that what you asked?
Yes.
Yeah, so it'll be the same Ford chassis, the four-wheel drive F550 diesel. Those are the best suited for what we do. They do come with their pluses and minuses like any car we've all owned, but they are the best suited for what we do, and they're also the best suited for what we can service internally, because we're very familiar with that. Our mechanic has actually taken the engines out of those and replaced them more than once, unfortunately, in the older ones, but he can do it, and that's a plus that he can. So we'll stick with that. I do see a hand up. I think Lucas has his hand up.
Yeah, Chief, I don't know if you have caught wind of it, but I've seen letters floating around, both from Ballard Truck Center and from Ford Motor Company, notifying that they're not selling diesel trucks after 2025. So 2025, they're cutting off diesel trucks in the 550 and up. So I don't know if you've seen that, or if that even affects the fire service, but I don't know if that puts a damper on your plan.
No, fortunately. So that very question, and a good question, went right through the chiefs about a month ago when you probably saw the memo at the same time. And fortunately, we were able to research that and find the exemption for our emergency vehicles. So the ambulances are exempt, and the engines are exempt based upon their use. So we don't have to fall into that. But that's going to be really interesting what happens with the non-emergency vehicles, because it's going to create a problem for a lot of dealers and purchasers going forward, I think, because they can't sell enough electric vehicles to meet the quota, so then they can't sell anything at all. It's a real quandary that these dealers are in.
I just had a question. So
I think
overall,
Lucas is still muted. Sorry.
sorry, am I still muted?
No, I saw Lucas talking, but I think he was muted again. I wasn't sure if he was all done.
Sorry, Lucas.
Yeah, he might be all set.
Okay. I just
Right.
had a question with this cost saving. So we're going to purchase an additional vehicle. Is there anything that is not part of the finished product that we're purchasing? Are there any add-ons that we have to pay for?
So we'll use the as far as pay for, as far as like tax dollars or borrowing, or
No, is there anything that has to be done to the actual vehicle?
so we'll have to install some equipment, radios, things like that, and and you can see the difference in the memo between what the dealer quoted and the equipment we have to install.
Okay.
And that would be where the additional cost is, but it's all baked into the bottom line of the numbers for you tonight.
Okay.
So we wouldn't need anything beyond that, like a separate article or anything to stock the ambulance.
Okay. All right.
Anything else on the ambulance?
No, I'm good.
All right, well, I'll take you to the fire truck. So that was a little complicated, and I didn't know how to create a good slide. So I thought maybe we would take a break from complicated discussion and just show a more simple slide. So this starts the discussion of, we have on the left of your screen, we have two of these trucks. We purchased them, we have them. Great in concept. I think they would be great in operation, but we ended up with two trucks that came off the assembly line together with similar problems. We have had generally good luck with Ford chassis. We just had a struggle with these two. Sometimes it happens, and sometimes you don't find out until after your warranty or grace period, if you will, with dealers is over. We're not in that situation because they've had problems from day one, and we've worked with the dealer, who has actually been excellent. If there was a lemon law, they certainly wouldn't qualify. There is none for fire trucks because they've been so attentive. They've tried very hard. And I don't blame them. I don't think a lot of the problems are the dealer's fault. But nevertheless, we've had a run of a year of trouble, and got to the point where contact with the dealer and said, this isn't serving our residents, our fire department. The staff has lost confidence in the trucks in the sense of their mechanical reliability. They're brand new. It's not a good position to be in. The model of these was to help take a little bit of load off the big trucks, and that's still a good model. But we've kind of faced a crossroads where we said, okay, look, these trucks aren't working. It would take a long time to replace them, which they would do. But then we were faced with the fact that our fire engines are in a similar situation as our ambulances. We have one newer fire engine that's in good shape and runs well. And then we have two staff, we have 3 fire engines that are on the front line currently in our station model. That'll change when we go to the new stations, but that's still a couple of years away. And it takes, of the 4 engines that we have, it takes 3 of them to staff 2 positions, and they're constantly rotating. When we purchased the small engine with the insurance money from the engine that got into an accident, and we lost a full-size engine in the process. So that put more of a load on the current older trucks. The intent was to run these other ones and take some of that load off until the next full-size engine was bought. Didn't work out. It's unfortunate, and don't want to pull any punches on that. It didn't, but the dealer has stood by it and said that, look, we'll take them back at your full purchase price towards, well, they came with options, basically. They said, hey, we'll replace the trucks. We'll refund you cash back to your town, but minus all the specialty work we did to it, which would have equated to about $60,000 or $70,000 of loss on the purchase, which we didn't think was good for anybody in Easton to lose that money. But when faced with our engine situation, and we discussed that with the dealer, they came back with, well, we have these stock engines. They're not the heavy duty engines we like to buy. But boy, that light duty engine will run really well for a couple of years while we wait for the next heavy duty one to show up. And they came and with a difference in price of about $40,000, which is mainly the outfitting of the truck, which is kind of the question earlier from Christina. That $40,000 difference is lettering, radios, the things we got to do. So they're basically giving us the truck as a swap with a little extra to outfit it, and then we'll have this truck. Now you would say, well, why are we buying a light duty truck if you advocate for these heavy duty trucks? The heavy duty trucks are taking 2+ years. Nobody carries heavy duty truck stock because they're heavy duty, and they don't just put them on the line because they're expensive. We buy them because they last, they're durable. But even if we ordered one right after town meeting next year, if approved, we're looking at 2 to 2.5 years from then before it would even show up. And our current fleet would really struggle to do that. So we can take this engine with this plan and put it into the frontline use. So it will take the load off on the 2 busiest engines. You'll have the new engine and then the new engine right here. And it will be perfectly fine for a couple of years waiting for the heavy duty engine to show up. And then what would really be a nice part of this plan is that it would fall into the, we have, of the 4 engines we would have in the new station model, one would be a fully equipped spare, which this is what would become. And then we'd have the older engine that we keep as the mechanical backup. So this truck would be perfectly suited to enjoy a long life with us as the fully equipped spare engine. So like today we had a fire early this morning. If someone came in on a callback when the main engines are out, they would grab this engine, take it to the fire, take it to another call in town. It's ready to go. We need that engine ready to go. They were tied up for multiple hours at a fire this morning. And we need a quality, reliable engine that's fully equipped and ready to go. And this will fall into that spot and probably outlast the heavy duty engines because the mileage it sees wouldn't be as much, even though it's light duty, and that makes all the difference. So we wanted to come to you tonight to kind of talk about it. And I have on the next slide a couple of points that we kind of already discussed on why we're asking for this tonight. It really addresses all the bullets, and we will be in a really good position with our engines. If we're approved next year and get a big engine on order, I think we'll actually fall back onto a normal replacement plan for both our ambulances and our engines, and we'll have the new ladder truck showing up in March. So I was kind of joking with Wendy on the phone last week. You know, a lot of change for the fire department to try to address these aging and mechanical issues, and it'll be nice to get on a regular plan and not come to you with these requests abnormally. It would be nice to be on a regular plan and have everything last like we predicted, and I think we can do that, especially with our own maintenance internally. So take any questions on the engine.
Any questions from the board? Yeah, I think you
Um,
can. Quite well.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. What's wrong with the little engines? Is it on the Ford side or is it on the
Ford side.
upfitting side?
So we had a lot of problems with the well, a little of both. We had a lot of problems with the pump computer talking to the Ford computer, and that made a real big headache. And then we also got a bad run of rear ends that have been troublesome. In fact, they had to take one of the two trucks back to Alabama for almost the whole year. We haven't actually seen it. We saw it for about a week, and then they had to take it back because they had a driveline noise. They couldn't fix it here. 2 or 3 Ford dealers tried to fix it here, couldn't do it. They had to take it to Alabama to some specialty shop. They trucked it down at their cost. They flatbedded it down, and then they got it fixed and they sent it back up. Then it still had a couple of issues once we got it back, and that was kind of the straw that broke the camel's back. Like we,
Yeah,
you
no.
know, you have it for a year, and you know they're doing the best they can. Like I said, I think Ford with the dealer, the manufacturers of the chassis are making their computer systems tighter and tighter, so that you can't work on them yourself. You see that a lot with like the right to repair bills and everything, and it's making it harder and harder for the upfitters to install their equipment on them and interface like they need to by law to function on the road. And it's really jamming up the dealers and the outfitters, I should say, and I feel bad for them, but at the same time, we need a truck that works.
No, absolutely. I own construction equipment. I just the new stuff it comes out and you just shake your head when you're trying to do stuff with it. It's unbelievable. I mean, I keep buying older stuff, not newer stuff, just because we can get it serviced. So I feel you.
Yeah, I mean, and very similar to the older ambulance I spoke about earlier. Our most reliable fire engine is our oldest one, and a lot of that is, although I'm all about having the clean emissions and healthy firehouses and stuff, the balancing act is, as much as we want all that, we also need the truck to work, and
Yeah,
especially for
it's
critical.
work, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And with the lack of computers and all these extra things they've added on in the last 15 years, that truck just starts up every time and just goes to work. It doesn't ask questions because there's no computers to ask them. And, you know, it just hangs on. It's got 178,000 miles. And I'm seriously questioning if that's the engine we're going to keep as the mechanical backup, not the immediate spare, like the new one I'm talking about, the later, but as the actual mechanical backup. We might keep that oldest one and just it'll enjoy a good retirement, not having to run very much at all, and when we need it to, it will actually start.
Yeah, until they're mandated out. Unfortunately, that's
That
what I'm
may
sure we're
happen.
gonna be up against. Yeah, but
You know,
You gotta-
it's a challenge. It's been a real challenge, and we're facing with new fire engines, the new 2027 emissions, which is going to be a whole new thing because new equipment has to go on these trucks. And I bought an engine in 2007. That was the first year of the diesel particulate filters, and it was horrible. First year, new technology, always a bad idea, but you don't have a choice sometimes, and we paid the price.
Yeah.
But they've gotten better, but now they're going to add something new, so I'm afraid we're going to go right back to that again. But we'll work through it. We'll keep doing what we do.
that's right.
No
Good job.
choice.
Any other
Well, that's all I have.
questions?
Thank you.
Oh, sorry.
That's what I got.
Well, Chief, we want to thank you for your time, and we appreciate all your hard work in putting this together and trying to do the best for the town.
Thank you. We'll get there. We appreciate the support.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Chief.
Thank you. Let me stop sharing for you.
Kara, so the agenda is set up as discussion and vote for each of these items. It kind of mirrors the select board's agenda, the way they vote
All right.
their
We can do
items.
that. All right. So hearing the fire proposal, can I have a motion to approve the? Excuse me, like. You
I
want
make the motion to approve the request.
Second.
That has to be 2 votes, right?
right, two
Two
separate
separate
votes.
requests.
Right, the fire, let's go for the ambulance replacement
Ambulance.
request for 383,150. Can someone please request it like that, please?
I'll second
So
that.
moved.
Or-
I make a motion to accept
Thank
the
you.
ambulance capital request for 383, whatever.
150.
383,
that.
150. Excuse me. I don't have the paper in front of me.
Thank
Okay,
you. And may I have a
second.
Thank you.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, I will take a vote. DiNapoli,
Yes.
Merlin,
Merlin, yes.
Nightingale,
Yes.
Murphy,
Murphy, yes.
and Blumwald, yes. That is approved. And can some make a second motion for the fire engine for 39,973, please?
I'll make a motion to accept the fire chief's request to modify the capital request for fire trucks and amend the amount to be funded by increasing it by $39,973.
Thank you. May I have a
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'm gonna take a vote. DiNapoli,
Napoli, yes.
Murphy,
Murphy, yes.
Nightingale,
Nightingale, yes.
Merlin,
Merlin, yes.
Nightingale. Did I do you? I'm sorry.
You're left.
I'm left. Blumwald, yes. Thank you. Motion passes.
Thank you,
Right.
everybody. We appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
You guys.
Thanks, chief.
All right. So that part of the agenda is now complete. I'd like to now move forward to the school department. Thank you, Chief.
I'm just moving them in.
Yep.
Evening.
Okay, good evening.
Good evening. Welcome.
So tonight, Dr. Cabral is in attendance, our superintendent, and Tony Kopax, our director of facilities and operations. Please chime in if there's anything either of you want to add as I go through the item on the agenda tonight. So we have a school department request in regards to our school security project. As a reminder, our school security project, the intent is to have our 3 schools, Richardson Olmsted Elementary, Easton Middle School, and Oliver Ames High School, align with similar technology, infrastructure, and upgrades that we have included at our newest school on our campus, Blanche Ames Elementary. So within our current capital schedule, we have $1.5 million, which is currently appropriated in fiscal year 25. And that was allocated at our annual May town meeting. In the current capital budget, there are also requests for future fiscal years 26 and 27 at $4.5 million or $9 million in total. So in aggregate, a $10.5 million ask with 1.5 already appropriated. Where we're at today, we have been provided with our initial cost estimate from our owner's project manager, SMMA, which was included in tonight's materials as a handout. SMMA has provided 2 different timelines for the security project. One is just over a single project phase for the first cost estimate in that handout versus the second piece of that handout, which is a 3-year multi-phase project. When looking at those 2 cost comparisons, basically the consolidated timeline phase saves the town and the school department potentially $1.5 million, really $1,575,000. So we're coming before you tonight to request your consideration of an amendment in the current capital funding plan to actually accelerate the funding timeframe for this project. This would replace our total remainder needed to fund the security project at a little over $6 million, so $6,005,000 within fiscal year 25 for a vote at our November special town meeting. So within our school department memo, included in your materials as well, we included a breakout of the total available funds that were already awarded to the school department or appropriated to date for this project. And just wanting to make sure that I can pull that up on the screen as well, that is how we got to an estimated cost of about $5.6 million that that we still need to fund. However, there's a small difference in that request versus what we're asking from a town appropriation perspective of about $400,000. And that's due to our ESSER funding, which is our elementary and secondary school emergency relief funding. That set aside, we've been awarded from DESE, the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, but it's contingent upon federal Department of Education approval. We are continually following up with DESE to find out, hey, have you heard from the federal government yet? But as of early, or actually late last week, they have not heard back from Department of Education for approval. So that funding source is contingent. We're including it in our bottom line costs to show you as a committee for what we believe the total estimated cost will be. But for now, we're asking for the additional 400,000 because those are contingent funds. I will stop there. I can present the memo on my screen if it's helpful to walk through different funding sources, or if it's helpful to show the current capital schedule versus what we're requesting. I'm happy to walk through any of that information for you tonight, but we're just once again thanking you for your time and your continued support of our school department and our security project.
Does the town have the money to do that?
I can speak to that. So yeah, we do have some debt service that will be coming offline in the coming years. So we would be swapping that out for this debt for this project.
Okay.
Andrea, can you just confirm again, if we approve this, what the cost savings is?
Yes, so the total cost savings from what SMMA is proposing for estimated costs over one phase versus a 3-year phase is $1,575,000.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And can you just review if we move if the project does get approved, time savings again? When will this actually get installed for you quicker, and when will we see the security actually installed and in place and actually working for our students?
Yes, so the phase 1 as proposed by SMMA will end, construction will end in August of 2026. I'll defer to Director of Operations if I'm mistaken in that time frame of a go live date being August of 2026 versus the 3-year phase. That go live date looks like October of 2027.
Right. Originally, this was planned as a 3-year phase project. But right now we don't have the final design in yet, but where the project is at this point, they're estimating about 18 months. They need 2 summers. They call it a summer slam because there's a lot of work that needs to be done when students aren't in the building. So it would be this summer stretched through to next summer.
And advancing the project now would allow you to put that out to bid, get a contract awarded, versus if you had to wait until the annual town meeting, you'd probably lose a summer, I would imagine, if you did that.
Right. And it was a great question that was asked because that of course is our priority. We don't make light of the funding whatsoever, but our primary objective is to get everything online as soon as possible. But in this case, it actually is a significant savings for the town as well. We did originally plan a 3-year project because we worked on potential funding sources with Wendy and Connor. And so that's why it was originally spread over 3 years. Now that we're in the design phase, not only is it better for all of the students and staff in the buildings, but it actually is a cost savings as well.
Any additional questions from the board? Well, I reviewed them. Reviewed numbers and made sense to me. I thank you for your time. I don't see any other questions from our board. I'm gonna ask for
Move, we approve.
yes.
That was me.
You so move. Can you make a motion, please?
Move, we approve the additional request of the school department as noted in the materials.
Second?
Any discussion? Hearing none, I will take a vote. DiNapoli,
Napoli, yes.
Murphy,
Murphy, yes.
Nightingale,
Nightingale, yes.
and Blumhold, yes.
And me, Merlin, yes.
Oh, Merle, yes, sorry. Sorry, Steve.
Thank you very much, everyone.
We appreciate your time.
All right,
We
Welcome.
appreciate your support.
Thank you.
thank you. Okay. Well, hopefully my dog won't start barking like a maniac. I hear a truck backing up,
Uh-oh.
probably
Yeah.
Amazon.
All right. It took me this whole meeting to figure out how to get the controls to show up on the bottom of my phone. I was struggling to find them, but they've changed the app, and I finally was able to lock it on so I could turn my mute on and off.
All right. The next item on our agenda is to approve Article 4 for the supplemental FY25 capital budget. Has everyone got to see that?
Yeah, so I will, I'll share my screen. I'm just gonna turn the volume.
Oh, come on. All right, so Article 4 reads, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate by borrowing or appropriate by transfer from available funds a sum of money to supplement the capital budget needs for the town for the fiscal year 2025, or take any other action relative thereto. The first item is the 3 police vehicles for $204,667. The cyclical computer replacements for $41,712. The security system upgrades for $6,005,000. The additional funds for the fire engine for $39,973. The ambulance replacement for $383,150 for a total of $6,896,352. The explanation: these article addresses additional capital needs for fiscal year 2025 that were not addressed. Excuse me, that were not funded at the annual town meeting in May. Any questions, comments?
What percentage?
So I just like to comment that this is it's a pretty bare bones, article. We're just looking to fund really just the bare essentials for this town meeting, the 3 police vehicles and the cyclical computer replacements, which we usually wait until the fall to fund those, after free cash is certified. We've got what we voted on tonight. The only borrowing that we're gonna authorize, that we plan to do, is for the school security upgrades. Everything else will come from either a combination of available funds, or there will be some free cash, and if we have any other surplus article balances from previous, like capital appropriations or whatever, that we can use to this, we would use that as a funding source as well. We're still working that out with a few, but also one thing that actually, it was in the memo, but we didn't discuss it, was the funding for the additional fire engine. We still have some insurance recovery funds that were like left over, that are going to be used toward that purchase. I think there was about 11,000, and another 10, I think, from the fire revolving account, which is basically the account that they have where if you have a sporting event or whatever, you need an ambulance there. It's like a detail, but for the fire department. Mm-hmm. There's they've built up, like, there's like an admin fee that gets built up over time in that fund. So they would take 10,000 from that fund and use that towards that as well.
What's the percentage of the budget that we're this these capital requests are compared to the whole year? Any idea or roughly what percentage that is? It's like 6.7 million. What's the whole budget, like 18
The
or
6
something like
million kind of skews it because it probably makes it more like around like 6%, 6.6%. Because I mean, if you add up all the enterprise funds and everything, you're looking at about 100 million.
Just to get some idea of scale, that's all.
Is this competing with any other borrowing needs that are coming up? With Wendy, have any idea on that?
Not really. I mean, we, in terms of, I can also put in the other, let me stop the share on that.
How much is coming off? You said stuff was coming off this year. How much is coming off?
I think it's like a couple 100,000. But I can I can look that up and get you a better estimate for that. Let me just share. This is probably going to look really small. Can you see that? Can you see that screen?
Yeah, I can see it, but what are we looking at?
This is just the whole, like the 5-year request.
The highlighted stuff?
So yeah, the highlighted stuff is what is being proposed. The light yellow is what's being proposed for the special town meeting. The bright yellow kind of just highlights the request that we've kind of amended. So you see the 4.5 million coming off the capital plan for 26 and 27. But then it's getting, we've got the 6 million being added back, and then you've got the other 2 fire department requests. And then if you look down here, there's an ambulance request down here. So that's being accelerated. Now I will say when the chief does his capital plan, going forward for fiscal 26, chances are, because of the way the timing has been for the ambulances, you probably are going to see another ambulance within these like last 2 years. So even though we are accelerating that, it's probably likely there's still going to be another ambulance request. I know they've had more runs, and they're looking. Before we used to keep like 3 ambulances, but now we're looking to keep 4. Basically 2 on the front and 2 as backups, instead of 2 on the front and 1 as a backup. So in terms of like the larger items in the future years, there is that other fire engine. That was, where is that? DPW has always got requests every year, for the motor equipment. So that's always gonna, we can never fund that in full. Some of the other larger items are water, and there is some sewer for the pump station. But, oops, sorry, I'm scrolling too fast. But these are some of the other items that are coming in later years. So there's nothing like really, really large. I feel like we've tackled a lot of some of the larger items, particularly the ladder truck that was already approved.
Is there such a thing as a percentage of the budget that's an average for capital planning through the years?
I mean, I know we've liked to keep it at least 7 or 8%. I mean, one of the things that we've tried to do too is we've tried to keep at least the debt service level. So if for some reason we had a year where the debt service was going down, we wouldn't just let the debt budget be reduced, because then you lose that capacity for future debt. So we've done that. It's I'd have to get you a percentage, because I feel like the exempt debt kind of skews that as well, because you know you're going to raise the money for that. But if you kind of take the exempt debt out of it, then you get a truer number of really what's competing with all the other operating needs.
So is this total 25 budget with all the additions higher than normal, or average, more than normal because we're accelerating the school into it?
It's probably a little higher because of the school, because $6 million. I mean, we don't usually have too many $6 million items, especially that are coming out of operating that are not, you know, a debt exclusion. Well, that's not enterprise funded.
I'm just anticipating questions you might get asked at the special town meeting. Someone may ask these, so we discussed them.
Yep.
That's the idea.
That's good. Ask them now, and I can follow up with this too.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to know what debt is the percentage of the budget?
On an average, I don't know, 5-year average, 10-year average, and then, because, every year it's different, obviously.
Yep.
As well as, I assume that means our next year's capital planning will be a bit lower, since we're taking out.
You'd hope, although, sometimes you add that extra year on, and
Yeah, the DPW might come in with lots of requests, if they know there's extra money out there somewhere. Who knows? We're accelerating, but okay, I'm good.
Yep. Okay. All right. If there's no other requests, then I would just ask that we just, take a vote on the article. We can put that in the warrant as the recommendation.
Yeah, I move we approve the amended capital budget as shown on the screen a minute ago.
I second it. Murphy, second.
Any comments or questions?
I just want to, I think the number that Harris stated was different than the number that was on the screen. So can we just say the number out loud? Read the number that's actually written that we're seeking approval?
Yes, and I will say that initially on Friday when I posted this, there was an issue with the total. So the total is should be 6,674,502.
Okay.
Thank you. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. My paper had something different.
Yeah, I updated a revision, but I uploaded a revision. But
Oh.
yeah, I just wanted
If
to
my
make that
motion needs
mention.
an amendment to that number, then so be it.
No, it's the same article, different math.
Okay.
I just wanted, sorry to be a pain, I just wanted it clarified.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Christine.
you have to go to the finance committee. You have to have the right number.
Very good.
All right. So I have a motion. I have a second. Any other comments? Hearing none, I will take a vote. Murphy?
Murphy, yes.
Merlin?
Merlin, yes.
DiNapoli?
DiNapoli, yes?
Nightingale?
Nightingale, yes.
And Blumwald, yes. Motion passes. Okay.
Great.
That's the article. And the last thing on the agenda was meeting minutes, but I do not see meeting minutes out there.
Yeah, we don't. So we don't have the minutes right now. One of the things I was in emailing back with Roseanne if, you know, she could get the minutes within like the next like couple of weeks, we could just have like a quick meeting just to accept the minutes. And that way we could get them posted online. We don't have to do any other business. We could just accept the minutes and it'd be a very brief meeting.
A minute for minutes, gotcha.
Motion to adjourn, then, if we don't have any minutes? I haven't eaten yet.
Do I have a second?
Second?
Murphy second, yep.
Okay. I will take a vote. DiNapoli,
DiNapoli, yes.
Murphy,
Murphy, yes.
Merlin,
Roland, yes.
Nightingale,
Nightingale, yes.
and Blumall, yes. Thank you all.
Good night.
All right,
Thanks,
take care.
everyone.
Catch you on the
Thank
next
you.
one.
Everyone,
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Yep.
Bye.